Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the fifth week of the Rugby Research and Injury Prevention Group 2025 Professional Development Series. Today, I will be presenting on interviews. My name is Lawrence Kangaroo, and I'm from the Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine. And I will. All right, so why do interviews matter? So, a strong interview can turn a good application into a great opportunity. And these interviews, they don't just assess your qualifications, but your fit with the company, the school, whatever it may be, how you may communicate, and your professionalism skills. And they can help you differentiate yourself from somebody with a similar application as you. So some of the major common interview forms are one-on-one, which is usually what you think of, just sitting across from someone and getting the basic questions. A panel, multiple interviewers. There's something called an MMI. This is pretty big in med school, and there'll just be mini sessions with different people. So just basically multiple one-on-one meetings. There's obviously virtual interviews, which have become pretty popular since COVID. Um, there's behavioral interviews, which seem like they can be mixed in with some of the other types, but they'll ask more specific question types. And then there's case or scenario based type of interviews, and this will be more problem solving focused. So you want to make sure you want to do your homeworks for all these interviews, research your company or school, their values, look over your resume, your personal statement, so you know what you're talking about in these interviews. Know why you're a good fit, why you match with the company or school you're going to be talking to, interviewing at. You know your common questions, which we'll go over. Make sure you have some questions for the school based on the research you've done. And then again, make sure your technology is right if it's one of those virtual meetings we talked about. So some of the major questions they'll be asking, tell me about yourself is a huge one. It seems like an easy one, but it could be pretty hard in the moment. Um, Greatest strengths or weaknesses. Why do you want this position? Those are big for job interviews and even med school interviews as well. Some of the bigger med school questions would be why medicine, talking about challenges you may have faced, and how you handle stress. So just the top questions, what these places, these companies or school may ask, and having solid answers for them is going to go a long way. First impressions obviously count. You want to make sure you dress professionally. On the right, we see a graphic here showing what professional like dress looks for both men and women. Men, you see, a button-up shirt, a tie is obviously really good. And you want to make sure you have good eye contact with the person giving the interview. Offer a handshake. Make sure you speak clearly, no rushing, be positive, and try not to use like, or the best you can during the interviews. When it's over Zoom, you want to make sure you're in a clean, quiet setting. Try and blur your background. Try and have a nice white or solid color background. Uh, you want to make sure you're going on before checking your audio, your lighting, your cameras, and all the above. Make sure when you're doing these interviews, you're looking at the camera and not the screen. It could be easy to make it seem like you're not paying attention when you're looking somewhere on screen. It could look like you're dozed off or looking at something else. Make sure you have some notes. You can always throw around your desk, but again, you want to make sure you're looking at the camera and not looking like you're reading notes. Then again, you can practice mock interviews on Zoom pretty easily. Interviews, you want to make sure you always follow through, send a thank you email, talk about why you're interested and what you appreciated, and and also reflect on what you can improve and what you did well. So some major mistakes would be being unprepared. You'll start rambling, being negative about other candidates, or over rehearsing, sounding robotic. So it's obviously good to rehearse, but you don't want to sound like you have every single word planned out already. Not asking questions is obviously not a good thing. You want to make sure you're prepared and showing that you're prepared by asking good questions. And then you want to make sure that while you are answering these questions, you're not, going back to the first point, rambling. You want to make sure you're actually answering the questions and um, and not going off on a tangent and speaking on something else. So some final advice, you want to practice, do some mock interviews, find a friend, advisor, or a lot of these college career centers will have places that'll help you, practice and improve on your skills. Again, reflect, improve after each interview you have, and stay confident. It's not easy, it's nerve-wracking, but everyone has to do it, and staying calm and confident is the best way to approach it. Here are my references, and if anybody has any questions, or Dr. Lopez, if you have anything to add, please let me know.
Yeah, Larry, I just want to go back and like comment on especially the way you carry yourself in an interview. It's often nice to greet your interviewer with a smile, like you said, a firm handshake. But it also really benefits the applicant if they do extensive research on the program as well. So especially when they're answering the why us. They probably just don't want to say the generic, oh, because the program is this, this, and that. Really highlighting key points like specific advising centers that they like or what drew them about the program specifically. So really I think coming in prepared is the best way you can really ace an interview in that aspect, and that automatically contributes to your confidence.
Yeah, I think thank you for giving the presentation. I think one thing that I'd like to make sure everyone emphasizes, I know Larry brought it up briefly, but I do think practicing interview questions and practicing whatever the mode will be. And you'll never know now with the way virtual is, or Zoom or Teams. They may even just pull you and just say, let's have a Zoom interview. So you may be prepared in theory for maybe an in person, but then all of a sudden you have the option that or they don't give you an option, they give you the choice of only getting a Zoom interview. And that's probably just the time constraint aspect for them. But you really need to practice. I think the best example is, uh, Dr. Halim and I met. I think it was the only time I had it was a time. I think it was like at 6 in the morning at a Dunkin' Donuts, and I just went over the interview questions with him that I thought that I would ask, and he handed me his resume, and I went right off of that. So whatever you think you're going to put on your resume, please do be prepared to discuss it, or whatever limitations, or why you took a gap year, or why you were unprepared and you took a gap year. You need to really validate those things. But I wouldn't use, I wasn't prepared. I would just say I needed to work. I needed to pay off school bills, get a job immediately. So this way it's justified and you can actually comment on it that way. I wouldn't be so critical on oneself. I'd probably be more prepared to defend your resume, if that's the best wording for it. So, on that note, I would definitely choose someone who's going to be, that's not going to pull, that's going to pull, not going to be easy on you. They're going to give you the questions. They're going to go through the rigmarole of what a real interview would be. And if you are not ready to do that, then you may not be ready for that interview process. And Larry, did you do the multi-person interview? I did that for NYU for undergraduate. They had me in a room with 4 other people, but you'd laugh about this. I came straight from a swim meet, so I smelled like chlorine. I literally, I smell like like I came straight from the pool. So someone commented on that next to me. They're like, "You smell like chlorine." I was like, "Yeah, I just came from the swim meet. Sorry." But you have to say, that's all you can do is you're there on time, and that's the ticket. I was there with like 4 other people, and it was very interesting. I had never done that. I think Christian did that for Albany Med, and then he went around with the different groups, with medical students, undergraduates, and then he got rated on that. But how was your interview? Did you and how many did you do, or did you do varying styles?
Yeah, so I had, again, like I think around five, I think something like that. I did like a bunch of different styles. I did the MMI, I did the one-on-one, I did a panel, And I didn't do this one. I knew another girl who did, where they brought multiple students in front of a panel and they would kind of ask one by one, which seemed a little nerve-wracking. Um, but yeah, the big thing I took away from med school interviews was it seemed like they were always trying to throw you off for whatever reason, whether it was like making you sit through a couple hour like virtual tour, or like just pulling you into multiple rooms before you can even say a word, or just asking some ridiculous questions. Like, I think a question I got was, would you rather be a doorknob or a blade of grass? Like, just saying the most ridiculous stuff. So just being ready for anything.
Um, uh, I never heard of that question, but thank you for sharing that, because this way, again, you just don't know how it's going to unravel or how it's going to occur. And that's the same thing with work. Whether your degree is a terminal degree where you go straight to a job interview. Um, I guess, did anyone else have any interview interesting comments? Undergraduate, stuff like that?
I had one, I think it was my sophomore year of college. I was interviewing for some organization, and they asked me if Penguin showed up at my door dressed in a suit, what would it be asking me? And I was very taken aback by it.
Yeah. I guess they want to see how you're going to interpret the imagery as compared to what the purpose of the interviewee or the person coming to ask, whatever the figure is coming to ask the question. I guess they want to see how you think on your feet. So, like I said, you just never know, and you have to be prepared. I think Larry commented on the best. I didn't encounter that kind of stuff, but I know Christian definitely did. They put him through tours, made him stand outside for almost 30, 40 minutes, and you're sweating at that time. You're outside in a shirt, suit, or whatever. You know, I don't know what they're doing there, what the purpose of that is, but like I said, it's very different now. So you need to be prepared. And like I said, a lot of people who do these may not be the most qualified interviewers. They may be, as Christian encountered, students. I think at NYU, I went through counselors. I went through 2 rooms with counselors with 4 or 5 people, and you know, yeah, like I said, I think it was the counselor that the girl was commenting on how much I smelled like bleach, chlorine, but she she couldn't stop vocalizing it. And then I think the counselor flipped it around and, started commenting on my SAT scores. And then I'm coming from, St. Francis Prep, and, my, whatever, 22 credits of college credits coming in for AP classes. You get what I mean? I guess he also felt that she was overdoing it. Didn't affect me as much. Couldn't afford it, so I couldn't go. That's the way it is. So then after that was Boston College. Boston College was a one-on-one, and I think that was it. But like I said, I don't think I encountered any other interviews after that. It's kind of weird. Like I said, I was always picked up. You want to be in that position, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, on that next note, any questions about interviews? No? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Lily, Asha, and Phil, if you hang on 2 seconds,